Take a very good look at this rifle and the way the man is holding the rifle. This is a toy. This is not a real rifle. So OSHA, okay, from the Department of Labor, here's what they have to say about cloth face coverings. Will not protect the wearer against airborne transmissible infectious agents. Cloth face coverings will not protect the wearer. Hey guys, what's happening? Thor here, and dude, man, he's taking a little rest after a good workout today. Boy, things are getting interesting, and I just spent over an hour doing a recording and going over a lot of different things. And when I went to bounce it down, it erased and program shut down. I lost everything. So it kind of changed what I did then to something I was going to do anyway, which is to share a little something that I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with, but I just thought I would read it. You know, it's not that long, and what we are talking about here is I'm going to share it with you here. So what we're talking about is the scenarios for the future of technology and international development by the Rockefeller Foundation, of course. So we're going to go over that. Just one chapter. We're just going to do a lockstep. Okay, we're just going to do that for now. If people want to hear more, I'll be happy to go over more. If they want to do their own research, they can do their own research. But I'll just quickly recap what I was going over before. The whole St. Louis thing, to me, just, again, completely staged. You've got, 20 seconds, 30 seconds of these two idiots out there with a gun. The guy doesn't even know how to hold the gun. The guy points the gun at his wife. Just all these different things that are like, again, just since we know how the system works and how the system likes to play little games to get people to move in certain ways, it's pretty safe to say that that's all a bunch of. So I don't believe at all that that was a natural couple just happened to come outside. I mean, because if that was real, somebody would have stayed there and recorded the whole thing. They would not have stopped recording. They would have kept recording the entire thing. Police probably would have been called for sure. And then they would have waited to see the police show up and see what happens. And because you can't be out there pointing guns at people, that are on the street. So, because you can't do that. That's assault with a deadly weapon. You cannot point a gun at someone unless you have the intent to kill them. And then they better be doing something really, really bad if you are looking to kill them. So anyway, I call BS big time to that one. The other thing is I went over some Facebook stuff. I posted something, a gentleman who did a very first grade type of experiment where he had an air purity sensor, and he basically put the tube, and I've since seen another one now. After I saw that one, I came across this other lady named Peggy Sue, maybe. Peggy Hall. Anyway, and I came across her because one of my lawyer friends sent me her information. But then when I hit the Facebook to see why they censored my post, her name popped up again. So she's obviously on their radar too. And anybody that's on their radar is a friend of mine. So, yeah, like I said, this take two today. Hopefully this one works out. I can definitely feel my friend Matt over at Quantum of Conscience. I feel his pain and sorrow after putting work into stuff that gets either taken down or just crashes or whatever. I know all you guys out there that have been doing this for a very long time. I'm sure you've run into this stuff before. I just honestly, I was not going to do another one. I was just like, it's just too. I put all my energy into that one, and but then I remembered this, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to read. Somebody the other day was like, you have a really lovely reading voice. Why don't you just read something? So I'm going to do the other book about the sun soon. Very soon, I promise. But this was just a chapter I thought was too telling not to share. So anyway, just real quickly, I had posted this thing with this gentleman, and let's see if I can find it in 2 seconds here. So here, they see, so it says false information, and then it says CY. So I tap on CY. It comes down here and it says OSHA recommends using cloth face coverings at the workplace, contrary to the claims. Okay, so now here's where this lady's name popped up, who I just had seen her video because a lawyer friend of mine sent it to me, because I've been wondering where are we at legally with all this stuff. I know it's not legal what they're doing, and she actually covers a lot of that. She pointed me to the OSHA regulations, which I'll just briefly go over. I won't spend too much time doing it, because then you can go look at the OSHA regulations. So, and basically, this gentleman put a tube up to his mouth and he tested the air quality when he put a mask on, and it showed that it was toxic. It was literally harmful for your body. And what they're saying is that it's false information because it's contrary to his claim. Now, he made no claim. He simply said, this is an air tester. He blew in it with a mask on. It showed that it was toxic, and that was it. He didn't make any claims. But here it says that it's false information because the information he's giving is contrary to OSHA suggesting that you wear a face covering. He never suggested that I don't even think he said not to wear a face covering at all. And I tell you what, I will play that just real quick.
We'll do a little test here today. A lot of people are saying they're getting headaches and stuff and wearing a mask that they're requiring us to wear pretty much everywhere we go. And I'm going to test oxygen level under a mask using an OSHA-approved air quality monitor that tests for oxygen levels, hazardous gas levels, LEL, CO, NH3, H2S, stuff like that. This monitor is bump tested every day. It's calibrated every 30 days. OSHA requires 19.5% oxygen to work in a space. Look it up. Normal oxygen levels is anywhere from 20 to 21, right in that area. So I'm gonna do a little test here. I'm gonna put the sampling tube at the corner of my mouth, and I'm not exerted. I'm just standing here. So we're gonna put it right here. That's going straight to the air quality monitor. We'll see what the oxygen level is. So I've got 20.5, 20.6. That is the oxygen level without the mask. Now I'm going to set the camera down for the mask on.
Oh, golly.
Okay? Do the same test hose in the same spot. You can hear the alarm going off. That means that there is a hazardous atmosphere. And we'll see what the levels are. 17.4. 17.5. It's starting to go back up. Okay. It's going to clear at 19.5. And that's what is required to work in a space. So, you're wondering about headaches and stuff like that, there's why. Because you're not getting enough oxygen. If you're exerted, working, running, whatever the case may be, it's only going to get worse from there. So, it is what it is. You're not going to see this on the news because they don't want you to know this on the news. So, take it for what it's worth.
Okay, did you hear that guy tell you not to wear a mask specifically? No, he just gave you the information. So why is it saying false information? What part about that is false? Again, when you click on here and see what makes it false, it specifically says OSHA recommends using a face cloth covering at the workplace contrary to claim. He never said don't use a face covering at a workplace. And again, this is another one of the things I went into on my last rant, which is people have traded in their brain and their intuition and their critical thinking for being told what to think and what to do. Okay, because if you think about what it's saying and what he said, you'll see that they do not align. They do not match up. They're lying about what he's saying, and the rest of what I went into were some of the outrageous comments I got from people, like this one. Actually, there's a couple of jackasses in here. One guy says the problem is that this is not showing the blood oxygen levels. You don't need the blood oxygen levels, Again, it's a syllogism, okay, which is, and I have it right here because I just did this not too long ago. I went through my flashcards because I'm taking a law class at, syllogism, which is basically a logical scheme of formal argument consisting of a major and minor premise and conclusion, which must logically be true if the premises are true, which means there's a major and a minor premise, okay? And their example here is all men are mortal. Socrates is a man, therefore Socrates is mortal. Both premises are true, so logically the conclusion is true. And in this one, you exhale toxic air, okay? Your breath has carbon dioxide and other toxins in it. You exhale it, okay? And then when you put a mask on, you trap that in there, okay? So that's your major and your minor premise. So the conclusion must be that when you breathe in that toxic air, it would actually make your blood oxygen level change, okay? It wouldn't be healthy if you kept doing it. Do we have the equipment right here to test it? No. Is it logical? Yes, 100% logical. And I mean, I'm sure if anybody, like these surgeons they brought up, well, my uncle did surgery for 20 hours and he's okay. I bet you if you tested his blood oxygen level after 20 hours, he probably wouldn't be that healthy. Not to mention the stress and all the other stuff that goes with it. But he's also in a very sterile environment. But anyway, I digress a little bit. But then there's this other guy, Peter, who says, I appreciate Facebook alerting me to bullshit. So I said, nicely, Peter, what part of this man's experience do you feel is bullshit? And then some other guy chimed in, the bit that is factually incorrect and the bit that got taken down by Facebook because you're propagating lies. It never got taken down. You saw it just now, and this was, 2 days ago or something? And so nothing got taken down. This guy's full of, horse shit. And again, nobody's addressing what he said because nobody's watching the information. If anybody tells me something, before I go and run my fat mouth and challenge what they're saying, I better make sure I have the information so I can stand upon it. And then this guy, Peter, writes back, I don't open shit like that, thanks. These are fools.
You fool!
These are fools. These are arrogant, egotistical, maniac fools. Okay? Anybody who's going to let Facebook tell them what they should and should not believe, or what information they should take or shouldn't take, is a fool. No two ways about it. Okay? And then this other guy comes back with, in the matter of interest, what level of education do you have? I told him, double bachelor. Bachelor of Science, Bachelor of Art. He said, oh, and what school did you go to? Like, that matters either, I'm like, Olivet Nazarene University. And then he stopped asking questions. I'm like, oh, I guess that's okay then. I guess that met your standard, It wasn't Wiener Schnitzel's College of the Douchebags or something. So anyway, people, I really get a good barometer of people's lack of common sense and lack of willingness to discover the truth. They don't want the truth. They want to be told what the truth is, which is why I truly fear that this thing is just, I think they've already got us, you know what I mean? And I know it, because they've been doing this, forever. This is how things go. Remember, we don't know where the Mayans went. We don't know where the Aztecs went. Where did the ancient Egyptians go? Like, where did all these ancient societies just disappear and cities are left in ruins? Like, like where did they go? Like, something happened. You know, I don't think it was I think they migrated in some sort. But I don't know. I don't know. That's again. I'll tell you when I don't know something, and I'll tell you when I have a really good um, idea. So again, so I posted this, and I'm doing it the cheap way here because I don't want to have to go in and do a bunch of tags later or add-ins later. You see the way this guy has his hand on his gun? Nobody holds a gun like this. Nobody. Nobody who's purchased a rifle. Now, if he got this from his grandfather or something, maybe he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. But if you purchased a rifle, you know how to hold a rifle, and that's not how you hold a rifle. you know. So I said totally fake, and boy, did they pile on after I said totally fake. They're like, but there's a video. Didn't you see the video? How could you not believe it? There's a TMZ video. And I'm like, if it's on TMZ, I definitely don't believe it. TMZ. Look at that. Look how he's holding it by the barrel. He's holding. Take a very good look at this rifle and the way the man is holding the rifle. This is a toy. This is not a real rifle. Okay, that's why the police were not called, because it's not a real rifle. It is a toy rifle. This is a staged event. Now you ask me, Thor, how do you know it's a toy rifle? Well, I'll tell you. Anybody who's ever shot an AR-10 or an AR-15 or any rifle that, for that matter, knows the type of weight that is carried in one of these steel machines. Okay, it weighs between 7.5 pounds and 9 pounds, depending on if there's ammunition in there. I see a magazine in there, but again, look at the way he delicately is holding the rifle with his right hand. His body is leaning over towards the left, okay? And he's not straining at all to keep this gun nice and level. Nice and level. Get a strong, fit person at your gym to hold a 8 or 9 pound sledgehammer at the end, okay, with the same distance as this rifle is, and have them hold that and see if they can hold it level and point their other hand all the way out and lean in the opposite direction, and see how easy it is for this strong individual to be able to hold something like that. It wouldn't happen. It's not logical. It makes no sense for anybody who knows physical strength. And then again, if you know a rifle and how it weighs, you wouldn't be able to hold it like that and move around the way he's moving. Now, if it was a piece of plastic, sure, you could hold it perfectly level. You could move around. There would be nothing to worry about. That would be the other thing, is if he took his left hand away, that rifle, the butt would swing down and the barrel would swing up by his face, and he wouldn't take a chance on doing that. But again, everything about this particular scene looks staged. Everything from the fact that no cops were called, everything from the fact that everybody standing in front of these people are standing there taking pictures and videos and yelling back and forth. It's a staged scene. Like, anybody who gets an AR-10 out and points it at a crowd, that crowd's going to book it. They're going to run. They're going to get out of there. But even for the naysayers that want to argue about stupid points like that, I know there's idiots out there that will argue me. I'll just stick to the absolute fact, which is nobody can hold an AR-10 like this unless you are a very strong Marine. If anybody can do it, you make a video, you send it to me, and I will eat my shoe, okay? I will put ketchup on it, and I'll eat that shoe. Nobody is going to be able, and I'm even looking at his hands. It doesn't even look like he has a real good grip on it, but anyway, the whole point is, this is not a real rifle. This is a fake rifle. This is a staged event. Okay? Staged. Stop buying into this crap. And look at her, like, I mean, it's dude, it's comical. This is Keystone Cop. Look at her holding that gun. This is so staged. It's so fake. It's so ridiculous. You know, if this was real, all those people would be running. Look how fast they did that thing too. It was like 10 seconds, right? So they give you a 10-second little video and then they editorialize and tell you it's these crazy white people and their guns. Because that's the message you're trying to get across. Crazy white people and their guns, crazy white people and their guns, crazy white people and their guns. And so anyway, and I just got all these ridiculous responses from people. So, I got rid of my personal Facebook a while ago because I was going to stop engaging with Facebook and I just had the dogs, right? But I couldn't help myself when all this stuff started popping up. I'd see a thing here and a thing here, and little by little, they kind of drew me back into to making comments because I'm like, people are so stupid. I just cannot believe how stupid people are. Okay? And then again, okay, so the guy with the air test, he's not the only one. There are other air tests out there, okay? I saw somebody else with it too before I got that one. So now, the good thing about this lady, Peggy Hall, which I think she has the Healthy American Peggy Hall, something like that, is her YouTube. I'll leave a link in the bottom because I like the way she speaks. She's like us, and I think the majority of people that tend to listen to my videos are a lot of implants from Matt over at Quantum of Conscience. So a lot of you guys kind of already know what the scoop is, so I don't need to keep it too basic. And I'd like to ask everybody, like, comment, please comment. I'm still in the beginning stages of, how, am I being of help to many people? I've got some good comments. I get a lot of like texts from people, friends of mine, but I would love to see actual comments and subscriptions and all that stuff. If you guys like it, let me know. If you don't, let me know. Because I'll move on to something else. I tried I tried a humor video. I'm a performer, and so I did the Trump thing and the Bernie thing, and I got another song I'm gonna put up. I rewrote Imagine, and so anyway, I'm trying some different things out, because this crazy madness out here has taken my livelihood. I no longer have a regular job. I used to do rehabilitation with people, but people don't want, and most of my people too are older. So I help a lot of older folks rehabilitate, and now they don't want to. They're afraid. They're in fear. They're in fear, and even though they haven't reached out to me yet, I don't know I don't know if I'm going to go back to, because I'm not wearing a mask. I'm not wearing gloves. I'm not going to be subjected to wearing a mask and gloves. That's not how I want to live my life. And I love helping people. I want to help people, and that's why I like to make people laugh. And that's why I like to sit here and let you know you're not alone. You're not alone. You're not crazy at all. It's the rest of the world that is crazy. Just understand that, believe that, because you and I can have a conversation with one another. When you talk to these other people, like on Facebook, it's incredible how they're far off they get of the subject. And I posted that thing about the guy's air test, and then somebody else says, who are you to be shaking your finger? Maybe you should take a look at yourself. And I'm like, I didn't shake my finger at anyone. I didn't say anything. I just posted the guy's test and said, this is science. Take a look for yourself. That's all I said. That was it. So anyway, let's get to the OSHA thing real quick, okay? Okay, from the Department of Labor, here's what they have to say about cloth face coverings. Cloth face coverings, which is what everybody is wearing. These are not surgical masks. If it is not a surgical mask, it is a cloth face covering. Understand that. Get it out to everybody. Okay, and if you already know that, sorry for preaching to the choir. Cloth face coverings may be commercially produced or improvised, i.e. homemade garments, scarves, bandanas, or items made from t-shirts or other fabrics. Just take that old work t-shirt, cut it up, you got yourself a face covering. All right, yeehaw. Cloth face coverings are worn in public over the nose and mouth to contain the wearer's potentially infectious respiratory droplets produced when an infected person coughs, sneezes, or talks, and to limit the spread of SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes coronavirus disease 2019 COVID-19 to others. Okay? Cloth face coverings are not considered personal protective equipment, PPE. Okay? They're not considered surgical masks. They're not personal protection. They're just douchebaggery. Okay? Now, our cloth face coverings are not appropriate substitutes for PPE such as respirators or face masks in workplaces where respiratory or face masks are recommended or required to protect the wearer. Now, here's the big one. Cloth face coverings may be used by almost any worker, although those having trouble breathing or otherwise unable to put on or remove a mask without assistance should not wear one. Okay? You know what's funny is I skipped over number 4. This is the most important one. This is the one I was actually looking for. I don't know how I skipped because I got my screen over here right now. So, cloth face coverings will not protect the wearer against airborne transmissible infectious agents due to loose fit and lack of seal or inadequate filtration. Okay? So stop wearing a mask. That's really it. You tell them you have a medical condition called breathing. Okay? You have a medical condition that doesn't allow you to wear a mask. Because if you wear a mask, you're breathing in toxic air. It's basically what it is. You're breathing in poison. Okay? And OSHA specifically, it's funny how OSHA will put two things right one after another, okay? They won't tell you flat out that you can infect someone. They say potentially. So let's read these two right next to each other and hear how contradicting this is. Cloth face coverings are worn in public over the nose and the mouth to contain the wearer's potentially infectious respiratory droplets. And then next, cloth face coverings will not protect the wearer against airborne transmissible infectious agents due to loose fit and lack of seal and adequate filtration. Which one of those statements is more sound, solid, and concise? It's the one that says it's not gonna do diddly shit. It's not gonna do anything. It's not going to protect you. Will not protect the wearer against airborne transmissible infectious agents. Will not protect the wearer against airborne infectious agents. Will not protect the wearer. Cloth face coverings will not protect the wearer. Stop wearing your mask. Okay? I just had a run-in with a lady today. This woman calls me stupid all the time. I couldn't believe she didn't say stupid today when I had the camera going. She must have been on her best behavior. But she calls other people stupid too. And then when some of the other workers showed up, she didn't have them wearing a mask, but she accosts all the people. She harasses everybody else that comes in there without a mask or a mask that's not over their nose. And hers, by the way, is like, it's like this. Like if you look at the top of it, her fat nose is sticking out, you know. It's like that. So when you look in the camera, you can see it like this. But if you look, it's you know, it's not. Anyway, and I can't understand it either. I'm hearing impaired. I'm 50% hearing loss. I do have hearing aids in, but it's still, I really rely on reading lips. It is so awful for me to have to try to communicate. And I've stopped. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm just not doing it anymore. And I'll tell you what, Peggy Hall from The Healthy American, I really appreciated her punch in the junk to just remind me that I don't have to do this. Like, what am I trying to get along with people for? No, sorry. You know, I have a small circle of friends, very small. I wouldn't even say it's quite a circle. You know what I mean? Because 3 people in a row don't really make a circle. But you know, and I just really appreciate the people I do have that are awake, that I can have conversations with, even the people that may not agree with me. At least if they can have a conversation, it's a real blessing. It's gratitude. I have a long gratitude list at night. So these are the OSHA I mean, it's oh, the other thing is cloth face coverings. Um, you know, we're reusing them. Whereas in the medical community, they're disposable. They throw them away. They don't reuse them. Anyway, I don't want to get too caught up in all that. I could go all day and all night on that. Okay, we talked about people handing in their brains for their TVs. Like it is insane how people think they're intelligent, but they're only getting their information. This other guy said New York Times is it's everything's vetted on there. Everything's vetted. It's really solid information, bro. I'm like, New York Times? Are you kidding me? I mean, come on. Anything that is commercial media is controlled to push their agenda. What's their agenda? I thought you'd never ask. So we're going to go back over here from Judith Rodin. Okay, this is the president of the Rockefeller Foundation. Okay, now listen to again. They use the word philanthropy. It's their shield. Okay, it's their cloak and their veil, and they veil and cloak everything in the name of philanthropy and humanity. When the truth is, they're trying to really gouge humanity. Okay, so I'll start with. All right, I'll read the whole thing. I just hate to hear any of this gobbledygook. But all right, the Rockefeller Foundation supports work that expands opportunity and strengthens resilience to social, economic, health, and environmental challenges, affirming its pioneering philanthropic mission since 1913 to promote the well-being of humanity. We take synergistic and strategic approach that place high value on innovative process and encourages new ways of seeking ideas to break down silos and encourage interdisciplinary thinking. Okay. One important and novel component of our strategy toolkit is the scenario planning. Scenario planning. Gee whiz, let's just in case something happened, let's just see if we can figure it out. A process of creating narratives about the future based on factors likely to affect a particular set of challenges and opportunities. We believe that the scenario planning has great potential for use in philanthropy to identify unique inventions, simulate and rehearse important decisions that could have profound implications and highlight previously undiscovered areas of connection and intersection. Most important, by providing a methodological structure that helps us focus on what we don't know instead of what we already know. Scenario planning allows us to achieve impact more effectively. Sorry, I start thinking about things and then I get caught on a word there. So, providing a methodological structure. Now, if you're providing a methodological structure, but you're the one that's creating the actual event, it's really easy. Again, they're saying these are future scenarios in here when the truth is they already have this. They know what they're going to be doing. Okay, and I'll just look up here. I think this is 2010. Yeah, there we go. May 2000. So this was 2010. Okay, this was 10 years ago that this was written. These plans have been in play for a long time. Okay, the result of our first scenario planning exercise the results, there we go, of our first scenario planning exercise demonstrate a provocative and engaging exploration of the role of technology in the future of globalization. As you will see in the following pages, the report is crucial reading for anyone interested in creatively considering the multiple divergent ways in which our world could evolve. The sparks of insight inspiring these narratives, along with their implications for philanthropy as a whole, were generated through the invaluable collaboration of grantee representatives, external experts, and Rockefeller Foundation staff. I offer a special thanks to Peter Schwartz, Andrew Blah, and the entire team at Global Business Network, who have helped guide us through this stimulating and energizing process. Bunch of poopity poop poop poop. Okay, and it's funny. I mean, I don't know if everybody. I hope everybody has the reading comprehension to understand what it is they're saying. Here, in the way that they use words to dance around what they really mean. Um, so, the role of technology in the future of globalization. How they're going to use technology for their one world government. And again, there's already a one world government. There's always been a one world government. Okay, but it's just been very, it's all been hidden, you know what I mean? And they want to bring it to the forefront now. They want to unite everybody in public. They want everybody to know, no longer a secret. Okay, I won't go through reading the other ones now. Let's just drop down here to what is actually happening now, okay? Scenario narratives, lockstep, a world of tighter top-down government control and more authoritarian leadership with limited innovation and growing citizen pushback. Let me say this again. In May of 2010, the Rockefeller Foundation wrote a chapter on a future scenario called Lockstep. This was a role-playing chapter that they called Lockstep, a world of tighter top-down government control and more authoritarian leadership with limited innovation and growing citizen pushback. They knew that 10 years ago. You think this is a real virus? Okay. All right. And I know the majority of the people I'm talking to, that was for, that extra impression was for people that may still not, they may be on the fence about it. Like, well, is this, this is all by design. Okay. So anyway, let's just read what their scenario is. In 2012, the pandemic the world has been anticipating for years finally hit. Unlike the 2009's H1N1, this new influenza strain originating from wild geese was extremely virulent. Virulent? So, I gotta be honest, when I don't know a word, I always look it up. Okay? Degree to which a pathogen is capable of infecting or damaging its host. Okay, apologize, but I am always learning. If we're not learning, we're dying, okay? So, unlike the 2009's H1N1, the new influenza strain originating from wild geese, or bats, or whatever else they want to make up, was extremely virulent and deadly. Even the most pandemic-prepared nations were quickly overwhelmed when the virus streaked around the world, infecting nearly 20% of the global population and killing 8 million in just 7 months, the majority of them healthy young adults. We don't see that happening. The pandemic also had a deadly effect on economies. International mobility of both people and goods screeched to a halt, debilitating industries like tourism and breaking global supply chains. Where have we heard that? Even locally, normally bustling shops and office buildings sat empty for months, devoid of both employees and customers. The pandemic blanketed the planet, though disproportionate numbers died in Africa, South Asia, and Central America, where the virus spread like the wildfire in absence of the official contaminant protocols. But even in developed countries, containment was a challenge. The United States' initial policy of strongly discouraging citizens from flying proved deadly in its leniency, accelerating the spread of the virus not just within the U.S., but across the borders. However, a few countries did fare better. China in particular. China. The Chinese government quick imposition and enforcement of mandatory quarantine for all citizens, as well as instant and near hermetic sealing off of all borders, saved millions of lives, stopping the spread of the virus far earlier than in other countries and enabling a swift post-pandemic recovery. China's government was not the only one that took extreme measures to protect its citizens from risk and exposure. During the pandemic, national leaders around the world flexed their authority and imposed airtight rules and restrictions, from the mandatory wearing of face masks to body temperature checks at the entries to communal spaces like train stations and supermarkets. Even after the pandemic faded, this more authoritarian control and oversight of the citizens and their activities stuck and even intensified, meaning it's going to carry on. In order to protect themselves from the spread of increasingly global problems, from pandemics to transnational terrorism to environmental crisis and rising poverty, leaders from around the world took a firmer grip on power. So they just told you what else is on the way, right? Increasingly global problems from pandemics, that means more, okay, there's an S after that. Transnational terrorism, that means they're going to bring back ISIS, ISIL, Taliban, whoever they're going to come up with next. I'm sure there'll be a new name. It's probably going to be Patriots is going to be who, the new terrorists are. To environmental crisis, so they're definitely going to bring back this whole climate change bullshit. And rising poverty, which of course it's going to be rising poverty. They won't allow anybody to work. Well, I shouldn't say that. People are refusing to go to work because they're giving them out a few peanuts here in between. At first, the notion of a more controlled world gained wide acceptance and approval. Citizens willingly gave up some of their sovereignty and privacy. Look at that. So they understand that we are sovereign. Otherwise, they wouldn't have said that word in there. Gave up some of their sovereignty and their privacy. Why would we need to give up privacy? Isn't that insane? To more paternalistic states in exchange for greater safety and stability. There it is. Thomas Jefferson said, if you give up your freedoms for safety, you deserve neither. Citizens willingly gave up some of their sovereignty and their privacy to more paternalistic states in exchange for greater safety and stability. California is a total paternal state, okay? Citizens were more tolerant and even eager for top-down direction and oversight. And national leaders had more latitude to impose order in the ways they saw fit. In developed countries, this heightened oversight took many forms. Biometric IDs for all citizens, for example, and tighter regulation of key industries whose stability was deemed vital to nations' interest. In many developed countries, enforced cooperation with a suite of new regulations and agreements slowly but steadily restored both order and, importantly, economic growth. Across the developing world, however, the story was different and much more variable. Top-down authority took different forms in different countries, hinging largely on the capacity, caliber, and intentions of their leaders. In countries with strong and thoughtful leaders, citizen overall economic status and quality of life increased. In India, for example, air quality drastically improved after 2016 when the government outlawed high-emitting vehicles. They're going to outlaw certain cars. In Ghana, the introduction of ambitious government programs to improve basic infrastructure and ensure the availability of clean water for all her people led to a sharp decline in waterborne diseases. Government's going to regulate all water. Government. But more authoritarian leadership worked less well, and in some cases, tragically, in countries run by irresponsible elites who use their increased power to pursue their own interest at the expense of their citizens. Now, who on earth might they be talking about? Who have they set up and selected to be in charge of America? Would it be a billionaire, quote-unquote, elite? Although, just understand, the billionaires are not the elites. They are still the puppets. It's the trillionaires, okay? Those are the ones that we're supposed to be looking at, but we're not because we're too busy on level one of this stupid game. And again, I say we, as a country, again, I know a lot of people know this stuff, but this is kind of more for people who may not be aware. Okay, but more authoritarian leadership worked less well, and in some cases, tragically, in countries run by irresponsible elites. Trump, that's who they're talking about, who use their increased power to pursue their own interest at the expense of their citizens. Okay, there were other downsides as the rise of virulent nationalism created new hazards. Spectators at the 2018 World Cup, for example, wore bulletproof vests that sported a patch of their national flag. Strong technology regulations stifled innovation, kept costs high, and curbed adoption. In the developing world, access to approved technologies increased, but beyond that remained limited. The locus of technology innovation was largely in the developed world, leaving many developing countries on the receiving end of technologies that others considered best for them. Some governments found this patronizing and refused to distribute computers and other technologies that they scoffed at as secondhand. Meanwhile, developing countries with more resources and better capacity began to innovate internally to fill these gaps on their own. And then they have a little quote from Taru Leading Edge India. It is possible to discipline and control some societies for some time, but not the whole world all the time. Okay, they just stuck that in there. All right. Meanwhile, in the developed world, the presence of so many top-down rules and norms greatly inhibited entrepreneurial activity. Of course, scientists and innovators were often told by governments which research lines to pursue and were guided mostly towards projects that would make money, i.e., market-driven product development, or were sure bets, fundamental research, leaving more risky or innovative research areas largely untapped. Well-off countries and monopolistic companies with big research and development budgets still made significant advances, but the IP behind their breakthroughs remained locked behind strict national or corporate protection. Russia and India imposed stringent domestic standards for supervising and certifying encryption-related products and their suppliers, a category in reality meant that IT innovations, a category that in reality meant all IT innovations. The US and EU struck back with retaliatory national standards, throwing a wrench in the development and diffusion of technology globally. And they're talking about, again, it's a staged war they're talking about, especially in the developing world. Acting in one's national self-interest often meant seeking practical alliances that fit with those interests, whether it was gaining access to needing resources or banding together in order to achieve economic growth. In South America and Africa, regional and sub-regional alliances became more structured. Kenya doubled its trade with southern and eastern Africa. As new partnerships grew within the continent. China's investments in Africa expanded as the bargain of new job infrastructure in exchange for access to key minerals or food exports proved agreeable to many governments. Cross-border ties proliferated in the form of official security aid, while the deployment of foreign security teams was welcomed in some of the most dire failed states. One-size-fits-all solutions yielded few positive results. By 2025, people seem to be growing weary of so much top-down control and letting leaders and authorities make choices for them. Wherever national interests clashed with individual interests, there was conflict. Sporadic pushback became increasingly organized and coordinated as disaffected youth and people who had seen their status and opportunities slip away, largely in developing countries, incited civil unrest. In 2026, protesters in Nigeria brought down the government, fed up with the entrenched cronyism and corruption. Even those who liked the greater stability and predictability of the world began to grow more uncomfortable and constrained by so many tight rules and by the strictness of national boundaries. The feeling lingered that sooner or later something would inevitably upset the neat order that the world's government had worked so hard to establish. So, I'm going to bring this back over here because I have these guys, like these psychopaths, they have all this time and all this money to rule the world. $1 billion.